Hello, Nick from TV Priest. Looking at another track. This time it is Journal of a Plague Year. And without getting into any details about what the song is about, obviously there is some strange parallels there, but without going into subject matter, the production of the track is also quite interesting. It's one of our kind of simpler songs, I suppose. There's much less layering, still some, obviously, lots of little pieces and bits and bobs and a couple of synths and things. But it's much simpler, it's much more stripped back, it's much more about the lyrical content, about the storytelling, and it's not so kind of saturated, I suppose, in terms of the elements that are there and that make it up. So let's look at the project and see what makes it up. So we start off by hearing this bass track here, which is played quite high up the neck, and you can hear that now. And that's just looped and repeated throughout the entire song. There's no change in that at all. There's no layering, there's no doubling, there's no duplicates, there's no variations, and I don't even think there's a single fill. That's it. And it's really quite physically hard to play. Like I'm not an especially technically blessed bassist, but the line just works really nicely, inspired by Echo and the Bunnymen from many years ago. And the rest of the song is kind of a construction of a jam with these live drums, which I'll play you in cahoots with the bass. And there's some layering of some hats and electric elements. And then you can hear the guitar part as well, which is also really, really simple. Lots of kind of like harmonics, lots of kind of like plucks and of strums of the ends of the guitar, not the harmonics or the notes or the strings themselves, or sorry, the strings, but the strings at the very bottom end, just beyond the bridge, by the whammy bar. And that guitar's actually only got two microphones on it. One really close with this really old German microphone, which is not especially great, but that was used as the close mic. And then there's a guitar room mic, which I think was an Octava or perhaps a Rode condenser microphone, with a bit more distance. And you can see over here, I've actually put a bit of delay on that room microphone as well. So if I take that off, we hear those in sync. And it just kind of adds a bit of space to it. It potentially plays with phase issues, which is not the best thing in the world. But it gives you a bit of space, especially in the stereo spectrum, having the kind of the dry kind of close mic guitar in the left ear, having a bit of room space. And I do that quite often with the guitars, especially just to create a bit of depth, a doubling effect, a bit of chorus perhaps on like a duplicate with a bit of time delay on it. Although I generally don't tend to use reverbs in most of the mixing. The snare has very, very obvious reverb, and the vocals have a kind of an echo, tape delay, some very, very short kind of John Lennon-y style echoes and flutters. But for the most part, I keep pretty much everything I can dry, unless it's a synth or a vocal or a snare. However, you can hear on this one that there is like a ton of reverb, and that is coming directly from the amp on the kind of spring reverb on the Vox AC15. And that is, like that's kind of saturating straight out. One other thing in this song which is quite unique are the synth sounds. They're pretty balmy. So you can hear there that there's like a lot of peculiar notes, not necessarily the most rhythmical performance that's in time, but I think those kinds of performances which break away from the norm and have a bit of random, have a bit of mistakes technically, that's where things start to get really interesting, when you're really experimenting and playing with what is expected, I suppose. But yeah, so those are some aspects and elements of the track Journal of a Plague Year. Really hope you like it. I will do a little performance and layer some of these parts all in together now.